and you're dressed for the occasion. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Brad. Always a pleasure to be here and share the goodwill of Buckeye Career Center with you and our fellow listeners.
Well, that's so true. And I did mention it's an active place because we think of school right now as being out and, kind of in the rest period, so to speak. But not for you guys. There's the building's buzzing all the time.
It sure is, and that's a great thing. And we've talked about it many times, Brad, that, we're incredibly fortunate and blessed with the support of our communities, and into some regards, we want to be that hub of the community. Mm-hmm. We want to be that center that people can use, and anything from when we had the Camp Piedmont auction to just this past weekend hosting the Tuscarawas County Hall of Fame, where we're putting nearly 300 people in there. What a great night that was. Those type of events, New Philadelphia, their elementary came and used our grounds for a cross-country event. It's just bringing people that may or may not have ever been there. Maybe it had been a while since they had been there. It's bringing young students there and seeing this. Let me give a real quick one. Eldon Miller, obviously a Janaden Hutton graduate, just went in the Hall of Fame, and most people would probably remember him as coaching in the late 70s, early 80s at Ohio State. Mm-hmm. Well, when he left, the Career Center wasn't even built.
Wow.
So when he's driving around, even though he has family here, he starts looking, and he's like, well, how's this work? How does it, and I see your banners. And he sees the wraps on our windows, and he says, I might just sign up for that heavy equipment class, as we're talking, but really interested to know the structure. And so we had a great conversation with that. So always the opportunities to share, to learn, discover your passion, prepare for your future is what we talk about. And those are just, Brad, probably in a month's time, we had, 3,500, 5,000 people that aren't students in our building.
In the building, yeah. So talk about adult education right now, because that's something that doesn't die off.
No doubt. We do take, in essence, most of the summer off like a school calendar, but now is the time for the full-time enrollment for programs as well as part-time. So a week or so ago, we had our adult education open house. So far, we have 73 people that have come in and enrolled for our full-time programs in the that'll start again in the fall. We just finished with about that many. Matter of fact, our OPATA group, our law enforcement, will finish the 24th. And each and every one of those has an incredible opportunity to be employed. Many of them already are, just waiting to finish their written test. For the first time since I've been there, there's a physical fitness test to that, Brad. I'm not sure you and I could make the mile-and-a-half run, the amount of push-ups, sit-ups that you have to do. Yeah. Every cadet passed it on the first time. They get a retry, and if they miss it by a second, they miss it by a push-up, out. Yeah. They don't, and that's kind of crazy, but all made it. So now all they have to do is pass the written test. So that's still going on, but beyond that, it's full forward for next year already. And Brad, with that, I would just say a lot of opportunities that the state and federal government. So our programs, full-time programs, are available for Pell Grant. There's now what is called short-term funding. So anything up to 900 hours. So all but maybe a couple of our programs can receive an additional money, in terms of almost like another grant besides Pell Grant. There's the tech cred funding. There's a lot of different opportunities to maybe use other people's resources to help you gain your career. And
let me tell you, and at least in the past, some of this money goes unused, so if you don't tap in and try to find it, it just sits there. It is available.
Yeah, and that kind of leads us, if I can talk a little bit about, we have scheduled a workforce development and employee training summit. And what the importance of that is, we talk about it all the time, Brad. Everywhere you look, workers needed, right?
Yes.
And we talk as a career center, we just don't want you to have a job. We want you to have a career. Mm-hmm. So we're going to put on a workforce summit, primarily myself and Steve Rippeth, our Assistant Director of Adult Education. We've got about 6 categories that we want to make sure that people understand, from the Tech Cred program that you can, get money to upskill, reskill, get a new skill, train your workforce. That's one big thing. Incumbent workers. So if I'm working for you currently right now, there's money available for basically if a company's going to say, hey, go down there and take that electrical house wiring course or whatever. and they want to pay for it, they can get reimbursed. So we're going to share information about that.
Right.
We're going to talk about the short-term certificate program that I mentioned briefly. We're going to talk about, on the high school side, the work-based learning component, that each student entering ninth grade is supposed to have 250 hours of work-based learning before they graduate. All students, not just career tech students. So what does that look like, and what are the advantages of that? Because the state is working through Senate Bill 166, where there can be reimbursements up to $5,000 for hiring one of these students involved in a workforce development program, which, guess what? All of our high school programs would fall under that category. So if you're looking for people who are being trained in the field, people who make great employees down the road, that kind of ties into that school to work program. So those are things we're going to share on July 12th and July 14th. We've set aside 3 times on each day to try to be as flexible. And if someone says, hey, I can't make it those times, well, when can you make it? How can we say yes? And we're going to do the same presentation over and over again to put a lot of information to our local employers.
You and Steve both times?
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
Each time?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So we can't just go in for Steve's session and leave.
Well, you know what? You may want to. I mean,
I'm sure he'll appreciate me saying that.
Absolutely. And, he has really done a great job. He's the one who has, really pushed on this short-term grant, doing that application, really becoming knowledgeable at that incumbent worker. And he's going out with our Tuscarawas County EDC to different company meetings. He understands tech cred, and we can help people with those applications. So certainly Steve will be there, and if he does such a good job, I may just throw him right over on all that. But I know this. It was shared the other day. In the last couple months, I think there's been nearly, if I wrote it down right, can read my own writing, like John Kelly shared the other day, about $130,000 that companies have been reimbursed for training.
Okay, wow.
So it's a pretty good thing to look into.
Yeah, no kidding. Hey, tell me about some of the camps. I know we had one, we got another one. How's that going?
Well, we had our own career exploration camp, and we talked about this before, about COVID-19, not just going through it, but growing through it, right? So generally that's a 3-day, half-day each day camp that our teachers are involved with. Well, Brad, we did 3 days, and generally it's 100 or so people.
Yeah.
Students, kids, entering grades 4, 5, 6. This year we had 300. Wow. So now you stop and think about the last day we kind of do a showcase where they get to show their toolboxes they built, or the come in and eat the pizzas, or the posy pickers, or they were out doing fish. So that brings another 200 or 300 adults bringing those students. So that jumped off the chart. What a great time. The kids, the question becomes, could you do this longer? Can you do this again? And then coming up in July is the Dale Lauren Polen Summer Manufacturing Camp for incoming 7th and 8th graders. So both of these had been put on hiatus because of the pandemic, are back in action, as we only have 80 spots at the career camp because we go on tours and
right.
And we left Thursday afternoon with a meeting, and we were right at the edge of 70. So and it's kind of first register, first pay type thing. I mean, because I don't want to take your registration, Brad, and then someone else one comes through the mail. It's paid, and that's 80. So there's been times, Brad, that with about a week before to go, we're sitting there with 20 or so, and like, should we even be running this in the first couple of years? To the point, that's, as we said last week, we're definitely running it. Yeah. So we're looking forward to that. Just, manufacturing is so important in our area. It's so important to Ohio, and basically giving these companies an opportunity to share what advanced manufacturing and what manufacturing looks like compared to just sitting there in a dirty type place. That's not the case at all. Right. We are, many of our areas are very high tech.
Yeah, it's such a more clean environment. We don't have grease involved most of the time.
I mean, it's amazing. And I went to a workforce thing. What was it? Maybe Friday morning.
Okay.
And a group was sharing that, look, and it's you'll hear this, that, well, in the absence of people, it'll go to robots and things like that. Well, not necessarily true, because if I have robots, I still have to have someone who operates that. Now, instead of me maybe doing a tedious act where it take time consuming, maybe I'm running 3 or 4 of these robots or these automated machines. So I'm maybe 3-4 times the amount of work is getting done, and I'm not actually using that part of my hands
and endangering your hands and fingers.
Yeah, and now so I can increase those volumes. So it's just an idea of a change, I guess. Industry, they call it now already 4.0. Now we've got a ways to go to get to Industry 4.0, but it's a new way of looking at things. Certainly not replacing people by any means.
Yeah,
but automating and using our skills in new ways.
I think we have to certainly keep looking out for our economy, which is struggling through right now, but that would certainly help.
And that's part of it, Brad. Our programs, they are to enhance people's livings, right? We all live and serve and work in these communities. Like we go to the doctors, we go to the dentist, we have things built. We want to be able to create more of, like, I got a great friend, Jeff Harding, who went through, and he would always tease me about being college boy and this and that and the other. And he's an incredible builder and has as much work and everything he wants. He can do anything and everything. So how do we create more of those types of guys? Yeah. How do we masonry? Oh my goodness. We just last year, Mr. Bonvecchio retired, and we bring in a Ryan Irwin who had been with us, and just the new ideas and through advisories and say, what are the new ways? What is everything that's going on? And maybe me wheelbarrowing cement 25 yards and dumping it. Maybe there's different ways. Yeah. Just keeping up with that, because listen, we need that infrastructure. We all benefit from every one of our programs somewhere down the road. And you can't imagine how many times we are someplace, Brad. You and I will run into each other all the time. We'll talk sports. How many people said, oh, I went there. Here's what I did. I mean, it's so neat to know that the people that have went through the Buckeye Career Center since the mid-'70s have really been a huge part in the development of this county.
They're going to continue to be, too. And we don't have time to talk about it today, but the Dominoes from New Albany will certainly reach here as well.
No question.
All right. Well, hey, how does somebody get a hold of you or somebody with a question, whatever it might be, about Buckeye, whether it be high school student, adult enrollment, just whatever? How do you do that?
Well, first I direct them right to our website, one of the things, www.buckeyecareercenter.org. All of our information is there. We have great social media impact, as we were talking with Cheyenne Carroll and the marketing team, and try to keep things out on, I don't know, Instagram. I can't understand that. Facebook, Twitter. But, hey, 330-339-2288. We'd love to help you and answer any question that we can. We're looking, Brad, enrollment. About 545 juniors have already enrolled for next year. You throw 400 and some, and we're like at 950. And then in adult education, we do everything from full-time to part-time. That we've served nearly 3,000 people through our doors, whether that be background checks, testing service. So we're here for people.
And I'm sure you got a nice dose of basketball talk at the Hall of Fame.
It was an unbelievable, and it was great to showcase our custodians that set everything up, our cooks. I mean, we served a full meal, Brad, and probably within 40 minutes, we'd served those people and were ready to go. So it was just an incredible event, a highlight, put the spotlight on our folks just to be part of it.
Frank, thanks for coming in. We could talk forever.
We sure could, Brad. Thanks so much for having us.
We'll have you or Bob or somebody in next month. That's Frank Polen from Buckeye Career Center here on our 830 High Beam.